When the I thought goes, the I thought and the breath are one and the same thing. One and the same thing. They are the last things to go. The last things to go. So when you give up the I thought and go into this place, so you go through the doorway at that point.
And you open the door and you step inside. We're inside our hearts.
At that point, your breath becomes very, very, very shallow.
And you open the door and you step inside. We're inside our hearts. We're inside our hearts.
What? Well, I can't even begin. I can't even begin. I am not this thought. Thought you weren't your rational mind? Who would have ever thought it?
Our hearts.
Certainly your rational mind didn't think it.
Inside our hearts.
But if you can say, I am not my thought, and know it, and go behind your own thought process, then you know. Then no words are necessary.
We're inside our hearts. Our hearts.
A realized being's mind is absolutely empty.
Inside our hearts.
Absolutely empty. Watch a person going from whim to whim, from thought to thought. Oh, this itch, oh, this thought, now the plan, I got a plan for the future. What was that? Are you alright? What's happening? Oh, look at the flowers, aren't they beautiful? Oh, smelly incense. Oh, I feel so good. Wow, on and on and on and on. And you know how many years we've all been doing this? You work for me. What is this Samadhi all about? When you get through that doorway, what is that like? What does it feel like? What would it look like? What would it smell like? Let me see if I can tell you about what it means to live outside of space, of time, rather. What does it mean to be sightless, fingerless, neckless, tongueless, and tryinglessness, trying? Less. What would it be like? Once you start to see through the game, you will get it all. To him that hath shall be given. That's what that meant. What do you see? What do you see? Once you start to see through the game, you will get it all. As you do this work, your mind gets emptier and emptier. Your mind then becomes the servant rather than the master. A realized being's mind is absolutely empty. Your mind then becomes the servant rather than the master. A realized being's mind is absolutely empty.
The question was, what did you want to be?
In the world I see, you're stalking out through the damn canyon forest on the moon to Rockefeller City. You'll wear leather clothes that will last you the rest of your life. You'll climb the wristler cuts of vines that wrap the Sears Tower. When you look down, you'll see tiny figures pounding corn, laying strips of venison in the empty carpet, playing some abandoned super high. Feel better, Jim.
What did I not touch in this life? This exquisite life that I've been given. And how much did I neglect, forget, abandon? How many dreams did I turn away from? They all ask for time. They all ask for time.
Feel better, Jim.
I'm sure that what soul asks of us doesn't want to be waited until the last moments, the last breaths. So hopefully we're gathering a little bit of ideas that the necessity of attending to our soul is now, not at some point in the future.
Knowing with every fiber of my being, my body, that what I'm hearing is God. And on the other hand, knowing that all I'm hearing is silence. So the moving back and forth I have the poetry I've written. I have experiences I can tell about unexplainable synchronicities. The dreams, journals full of dreams of incredible wisdom. Then it's the blackness of despair of this planet, this strange place, the deadening, the depression, and equally mispracticality comes when their sensible choose and says, what you need to do is make sure you keep a roof over your head and so you don't go under the bridge. That's a question, and I know that's kind of the nature of soul. It is dark, it's light, it's everything together. But this business of why do we undermine ourselves?
So he says, if it does not feed the fire of your creativity, then leave it. If people and things do not inspire your heart to dream, then leave them. If you are not crazily in love and making a stupid fool of yourself, then step closer to the edge of your heart and climb where you've been forbidden to go. Debts, accusations, assaults by enemies mean nothing. Go where the fire feeds you. Turn your attention to the magic of whores, grief, addicts, and drunks until you stumble upon that shining halo announcing your heart that will allow you to violate every fear happily. Be where you're not supposed to be. The love of an angel who's caught your blood on fire, again, who's gulped all of you in one breath to mix in her soul, to explode your brooding, and again, your words rush from the stones like a river coursing down from some motherly mountain source. And if your life doesn't spill forth unabashedly, recklessly, randomly rushing in wonder at life, then change. Leave, quit, silence the idle chatter, and do away with useless acquaintances who have forgotten how to dream. Bitch rudely in your dark mood at the mediocrity of scholars who meddle in whimsy for academic trifles. Let you be their object of scorn. Let you be their object of mockery. Let you be their chilling symbol of what they never had the courage to do, to complete, to follow. Let you be the flaming faith that makes them shield their eyes as you burn from all sides, taking a harmless topic and making it into a burning galaxy of shooting stars in the dark of their souls. Illuminating your sadness, your aching joy for life, your famished insistence for God and all that is creative to attend you as a witness to your struggle. Let the useless banter and quick pleasures belong to others, the merchants, computer analysts, the government workers who haven't been afraid of rapture among thieves, bloody duels and drunken brawls, denying yourselves the essence of your soul work as poems rusted while you scratched at your heart to see if it was a diamond and not cheap pained glass. Now, Then, after returning from one more poet's journey in the heart of the bear, the teeth of the wolf, and the legs of the wild horse, sense what you experience tells you, your ears ringing with deception and lies and foul tastes. Now that your memory is riddled with blank loss, tyrants who wielded their boastful threats to the sleeping dogs and old trees in the yards. Now that you've returned from men and women who've abandoned their dreams and sit around like corpses in the grave, moldering with regret. Steady your heart now, my friend, with fortitude, long-lasting, enduring hope, and hail the early dawn like a ship off coast that's come for you, spent and ragged and beggared. If what you do and how you live does not feed the fire in your heart and blossom into poems, leave, quit, do not turn back. Move fast away from that which would mold your gift. Break it, disrespect it, kill it. Guard it, nurture it. Take your full-flung, honorable heart and plunge it into the fire, into the stars, into the trees, into the hearts of others' sorrow and love, and restore the dream, writing of its again discovered wild beauty. While you scratched in your heart to see if there was a diamond and not cheap pane glass.
So that's a question. And I know that's kind of the nature of soul. It is dark, it's light, it's everything together. But this business of why do we undermine ourselves? Because I feel the vessel's held, but it's leaking. And I want it to be tight so that, I can hold that joy.
Look around. I see a lot of new faces. Shut up!
No, just kidding.
Man, I see the strongest and smartest men who've ever lived. I see all this potential. I see squandered. God damn it, an entire generation pumping gas, waiting tables, slaves with white collars. Advertising has us chasing cars and clothes, working jobs we hate so we can buy shit that we don't need. We're the middle children of history, man. No purpose or place. We have no Great War, no Great Depression. Is a spiritual war. Our Great Depression is our lives. All been raised on television to believe that one day we'd all be millionaires and movie gods and rock stars, but we won't. We're slowly learning that fact. Very historical.
No, just kidding. Sharing how much the series is actually helping you feel more human. I feel like we're we're actually touching something quite necessary. It's actually helping to round out a larger imagination, a larger story of what it actually means to be in these bodies. And what we've been given is too small of an imagination of what it means to be in this culture. How many dreams did I turn away from? The question is, do we love with an intensity and power that is equal to the fact of our mortality? Do we love with an intensity and power that is equal to the fact of our mortality? Intimacy is wounding. Intimacy is wounding. It's basically saying, get over it. If you're going to play in that territory, this is what's going to come with it. There's no way around it. You cannot avoid it, nor should you. To love is to evoke all that has been wounded. When you feel more human. And it's to invite and to coax all of what has been wounded into the relationship. And I think that one of the central works of love is to become spacious enough to welcome and embrace all of who we are. It's actually helping to round out a larger imagination, a larger story of what it actually means to be in these bodies. And what we've been given is too small of an imagination of what it means to be in this culture. So talk about the unlived life. That's what comes crashing to the foreground of their lives, is what did I not touch in this life, this exquisite life that I've been given, and how much did I neglect or forget or abandon? How many dreams did I turn away from? They all ask for time. They all come back to the foreground, particularly when death comes close by. So the necessity of attending to our soul is now, not at some point in the future. The fantasy that somehow we are delivered from doubt or depression, or it's how we respond to those fantasies. Do we, when they arise, do we feel like we're failing, like I'm not doing it right? We have very small ways of responding to suffering in this culture, but it's inevitable. Those times in the negredo, what I call it, in the alchemical language, in the darkening and the blackening, are absolutely essential. We just don't have a mythology around us that allows us to value those times. We're a very heroic culture. So we're always supposed to be in the light, in the strong, capable, successful mode. But soul will often drop us into the place on our knees
Would you rather die here on your knees? Human sacrifice. Would you rather be dead? Would you rather die here on your knees? Gonna check in. I know where you live.
On a long enough timeline, the survival rate for everyone drops to 0.
Takajum, takanum, dheem. Tarike tatakadim, deem, deem, dam.
We're actually creating a work of art. If our lives are actually meant to be a work of art, that means we are all artists. And that's not a name many of us have chosen to pick up because we don't qualify. But that means we all have the possibility of seeing our life through the eyes of an artist. And we can begin to appreciate the uncommon beauty at the heart of our lives. Even what looks difficult can begin to be seen as something beautiful. We're invited to respond aesthetically to our lives rather than moralistically, seeing the qualities of it, the color of it, the song of it, rather than evaluating whether it's right or wrong, good or bad. Even our histories might be able to be reimagined as pigments, as clay, as notes, as dance, all part of the prima materia, the prime matter. So this idea of creating our lives as works of art is truly an alchemical idea. It's an alchemical creation, taking the difficult substances and through the work of devotion and prolonged affection, we might be able to transmute the material into the opus, into the great work, into the philosopher's stone, as they called it. Love it, because I think it's valuable for us to understand what I mean by the prima materia as a way of helping us understand this idea of our lives as works of art, and also to free us up from the ways we typically interpret our wounds and our pathologies. We begin to see that through the lens of alchemy and the lens of the prima materia, this is just the way the stuff works. It isn't personal. The the vulnerable, weak, outcast pieces of us. But there's a piece in this story that I'm sure we're going to get to tonight that is utterly untended in this culture because of a certain abandonment of ritual and the abandonment of initiation. And consequently, what we are laboring against oftentimes is a presence we don't even know how to name. So we'll get to that in a little bit. I lived about 3 feet from my body, watching everything I did to make sure I performed perfectly, and no one would see the flaw, the defect, the wound that I was. But that means I wasn't inside my life. So I lost 4 decades. I literally have almost no memory of that time. So it's I have to sit with that now. That's part of the grief I have to live with day by day. And part of what it does to me now is make sure that I am doing what I can to live out the artfulness of this life. So when we imagine our lives as works of art, the material of our lives is now seen as needed. The material that happens to us is actually required. We need this material. And then we might even bring the perspective of the artist to bear. That if we're actually creating a work of art, if our lives are actually meant to be a work of art, that means we are all artists. And we can begin to appreciate the uncommon beauty at the heart of our lives. And the words turned to fire. And he started to write down his thoughts. And something ignited in my soul. And the words turned to fire. And he started to write down his thoughts. And something ignited in my soul. this is just the way this stuff works. It isn't personal. It's not mine. It's just how it works.
Why do we undermine ourselves?
And I went my own way deciphering that burning fire. And I wrote the first bare line. Bare. Without substance. Pure foolishness. Pure wisdom of one who knows nothing. And suddenly, I saw the heavens unfasten and open. That's what it takes to write the first bare line, to try something. Of this series, in the context of soul, what I mean by an artful life is that our lives are meant to be works of art. That we are the sculpture, we are the painting, we are the masterpiece. That our lives are intended to be a work of art. It's not intended to be a salvage job. It's simply trying to repair the wounds of childhood. But it is actually meant to be a work of art. So the work is meant to gradually reveal the intimate, intricate, implicit beauty of soul. That's what the work of art's meant to do. To call out the intimate, intricate, and implicit beauty of soul. We are called to create this artful life through care and attention. And that opens us up to creativity, to imagination, to our senses. The interesting thing is that this artful life is crafted out of the materials of our day-to-day lives. That everything that we encounter is part of the material. The wounds, the failures, the defeats, our strengths and our gifts, our longings, our dreams, our relationships, they're all part of the pigments. They're They're all part of the clay. They're all part of what we are using to craft, create this artful life, this work of art that is us. And everything is needed. Imagine going to a museum and all the paintings only have pastels. There'd be no depth to the painting. There'd be no contrast, nothing to make the images actually come alive. The same is true in our own lives. We need those times of descent, of being brought down into the dark to add depth and richness to our lives. We are asked by soul to create something particular of our lives, something that has never existed before our incarnation. That's a unique creation. It's a singularity. And it will never happen again. And so it is really up to us to articulate it, to bring it to its full expression, so its beauty can actually contribute to the symphony of other colors and other songs and other melodies. So the work is to bring depth, complexity, beauty, and our unique impression and expression of soul into the world. That is the task.
What did you just say? Answer me, why do people think that I'm you?
I think you know.
No, I don't.
Yes, you do. Why would anyone possibly confuse you with me?
I don't know.
People do it every day. They talk to themselves and they see themselves as they'd like to be. They don't have the courage you have to just run with it. You got it.
No. Because...
Say it.
Because we're the same person.
In the final analysis, we count for something only because of the essential we embody. And if we do not embody that, life is wasted. And you hear that frequently as we age, we begin to have to turn around and hold all of the regrets. Again, all of the places of our life where we said no, where we did not articulate, express all of who we are. I think I may have mentioned, I don't remember if I did or not, how I lost the first 40 years of my life. Did I mention that? Yeah? They didn't tell you the story? I lost the first 40 years of my life. Okay. What I mean by that is that who was it that said that he lived 3 feet from his body? Was that Joyce that wrote that? James Joyce? Mr. Green lived 3 feet from his body. I was that character.
Because we're the same person.
It is chaotic, cannot be controlled. It is ubiquitous. In other words, it is everywhere, affecting everything. It is resistant to change. Ever notice that? In no matter how hard you work on it, how many therapy hours, how much you paid, it's still resistant to change. It does not yield to our agendas. It repeats itself. It repeats itself again and again and again. Patterns that persist and return. It is unformed, unripe, green, naive. In alchemy, that's the increatum, the uncreated. It is turbulent. It sweeps through our houses with bad moods, with rages and tears, fear, anxieties. It is other, alien, unwelcome, weird, reviled. I felt that way once in a while towards these parts of me. It carries our shame, the outcasts. It has the orphan inside of it, the villa figura, the vile figure. Number 8, it is associated with pain and affliction. Number 9, it carries paradox and contradiction. Number 10, it is ground, fundament, parent. This is an amazing thought, out of which emerges our psychic life. That psyche actually parents us through this material. It's a profound thought. Because for many of us, we're looking for the parenting we never got, right? What if psyche is parenting? And the last one, it has the quality of the divine. It has awe and power and a sense of the sacred imbued in it. So the artful life is intended to uncover the soul, to reveal it and grant it full expression in the world. It is the frontier of our life. It is what is emerging. It is what is unshaped and hasn't really come into form yet. And that is our work, to keep giving shape, voice, expression, texture, to the experiences of soul. There is always more poems to write. There's always another dance to be danced, another song to be sung. We don't write the same poem twice. How is that possible? Something keeps emerging. I don't know if I mentioned the idea of the all-nourishing abyss to you before. In physics, they've done these experiments where they've created an absolute vacuum. An absolute vacuum. Nothing. Utter emptiness. Something still emerges. Electrons, atoms. Where did that come from? They call it the all-nourishing abyss. That even when we feel utterly empty, that might be the time to sit down and write that. That might be the time to take the charcoal or the pencil and give shape to the emptiness. Let the emptiness shape you. The old idea is that we were not so much empty, but that we were being emptied. See, that's a mythic understanding. That periodically psyche comes in and sweeps the house clean, and we are emptied, so that something new, something can arise and show itself to us. Does that make sense? Yeah. We tend to associate that emptiness again as failure. I'm empty. I've got nothing. Maybe we can begin to say, I've been empty. What is coming? So that's holding it in an artful way. That's holding it through the perspective of the artist. When we sit down with pen and paint or whatever our medium is, we don't know what's going to happen on that canvas. It is an utter mystery what's going to happen. So the great work of our psychological life, which is the making of soul, is a creative process. It's not just trying to, shape something that we think will be approvable. It's actually a creative process. And Jung said that this work is initiated by creative instinct. And he refers to these as instincts. And the purpose of this is to culture the soul. Which I think is a lovely phrase. The work is to culture the soul, to give it scope, dimension, and possibility. I think that's beautiful. That's beautiful. So in a sense, if it is instinctive, we are all born with it. We tend to have this idea that some people are creative and I'm not. Well, what if it is instinctive? He said it's just the same as hunger or sexuality or the drive for power. The drive for creativity, creative instinct, is as basic to us as those other instincts. And what if that's true? Well, that's great news, because you cannot destroy an instinct. You can only repress it. But then it comes out in different ways. It comes out in distorted ways. So Jung said, but what can a man create if he doesn't happen to be a poet? If you have nothing at all to create, then perhaps you create yourself. That's a worthy creation. But what can a man create or a woman create if she doesn't happen to be a poet? If you have nothing at all to create, then perhaps you create yourself. That's a noble calling, to create our own lives. We create ourselves. We become the poem, the dance. Remember that little phrase I shared with you from Jaime Gil de Biedma, where he said, I thought I wanted to be a poet, but deep down, I just wanted to be a poem. We think we wanted to be whatever, fill in the blank, but deep down, we just wanted it to be a song, or a dance, or a poem. There's truth in every one of those statements about what we find at the heart of our suffering. But it is not how we typically hold our suffering. The artful life is not about self-improvement or perfection. It is about the process of revelation, of showing who we are fully to the world. Soul expression. And creativity, we could say, occurs at the edge of the unknown. And we are participating in the ongoing revelation of the world. So when we take pen to blank page or brush to canvas, we do not know what's going to happen. And that's the way it's meant to be. We are creating new forms and breaking old ones simultaneously. There seems to be this strange relationship between creativity and destruction. One cannot exist without the other. They have some interdependent relationship between the two. And this is what opens us to surprise and astonishment. He said, astonishment. Don't rob me of it. Don't tell me of tomorrow's weather. Let me be rained upon by some unexpected storm. And that's what it's like when we enter into the creative enterprise. When we sit down, some unexpected storm just might come whirling in. A lot of days, nothing happens. But we hold that with fidelity. We keep showing up because there are days when something comes in. So in large ways and small ways, our creative lives nurture our internal experience of aliveness and freedom. See, our creativity is really about freedom and aliveness. It is our nature to be free, and it is our nature to express that freedom spontaneously and without hesitation through song and dance and painting and poetry and prayer. In the same way that the universe gives birth to uncountable shapes, forms, colors, and beings in a grand panoply of flowing, changing manifestation, we too are of the nature to give birth to myriad forms of expression. In the same way that birds sing and lions roar and prairie dogs dance and cicadas chant and water sculpts rock and sunsets paint the sky, we too are of the nature to sing and roar and dance and sculpt and chant and paint. We are also of the nature to pray, to give thanks and reverence to this creation that we are an inextricable part of as witnesses and participants.